Hey, basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training, and today we're going to be breaking down AJ Lapray's basketball shooting form. If you don't know who he is, definitely go check him out in the link in the description below. He's a fantastic basketball player, and he might be going to the NBA Development League very soon, and hopefully he makes it to the NBA. That was a dream of mine, and I would wish that he could get there as well. Anyways, so let's get down, let's check out his shooting form, some of the things that you can copy into your game so that you can become a better basketball shooter, but also some of the things that he may be able to improve as well. Let's get down to the clipboard. Let's check these out. So first off, let's start with his base. So his head, or his nose, I like to say, is over top of his toes. So for one, his waist, his hips are perfect. Next is his feet. His right foot, he is right-handed, is just a bit and ahead of his left foot. Now, this is what's going to give him the power. A nice, stable core and also a nice, stable lower body. Now, moving up from there is his eyes. He is focusing in on that rim. He's not worried about the ball itself. He's not focusing on to see if his hands are in a proper position. He is looking straight at the rim, looking at his target. Next, when he brings that ball up, when he brings it up in this shooting form, when he shoots from this angle, we can notice that his hand is over top of his shoulder. Now, a lot of players do that to get more power, so I don't blame him because he is shooting from the NBA 3 range. But if he wanted to have a quicker shooting form so that he wouldn't get his shot blocked as often, now I'm not too sure how often he does get his shot blocked, but noticing from his form right here, if he wanted to have a quicker shooting form, he would bring his angle up more to closer to 90 degrees. So that's just a quick tip that he could use. I will be hopefully sending this video to him to see if he actually even watches it, but at the same time, I hope I can help him out while I'm helping you out as well. So now, when he's releasing the ball from this angle, it looks like his elbow is pretty straight. Now, when he releases that ball, we can see that it looks like it's probably going off his middle finger, which is what we are looking for. By shooting off your middle finger, it's going to allow that ball to go perfectly straight, and he holds his follow through. Now, he does bring it down quite quickly, but he does hold it by the time he lands, which is good. A lot of players just pull their hands down right away, but he does hold it up there until he lands. But I always like to teach or tell my players that I train myself to hold up the shooting form until that ball hits that rim. Now, he was a bit short here, so what could that have been? That could have been him not jumping as high as he probably could have been. If your shot is short, more legs. If your shot is long, more arc. Now, going into his next shot, when he shoots that ball, we're seeing that he's starting the ball in front of his body. If he was to bring that ball out more towards the right side and tuck that elbow in towards his body, that would allow him to have a little bit of a straighter shot, especially on this shot here. It looks like he brings it up his chest to shoot the ball. Now, this is a really good angle because we're also seeing his knees coming together, and you really don't want to do that when you're shooting the ball. A lot of players do it because they feel like it's going to give them more power, but it actually does diminish the amount of power that you have when you're shooting the ball. So a few things I would correct, and these are some of the things that you could even record your own shot and see if you can improve on the same things. So when you're shooting that ball, you really want to have that elbow tucked into your body and to basically turn your shoulder into a hinge. It brings the ball up from here up to here, and having that elbow tucked in instead of basically bringing up that ball straight up the middle of your body. That's going to slow down your shot, but also take away a lot of the power. It's also going to promote having your elbow out when you're shooting that shot. So depending on where his release point is, this ball could hit off the right side of the rim or hit off the left side of the rim, depending on where his release point really was. So by releasing a little bit more forward instead of higher, what that shot's going to do is go off that left side of the rim. Now it still went in. He is a really high percentage shooter. He, when open, like we're doing right here, is close to an 80% shooter. But I bet he would have a lot faster of a release and maybe even a 5% increase if he was to bring that elbow in just a bit, but also not have his knees come together like that, because that does take a lot of the power and a lot of the accuracy away. So now let's really look at his offhand. His offhand is actually really good. And watch what we see here. So when he is taking his shot, what we see is the left hand does not have any effect on that ball. He totally releases that ball, and then his shooting hand does release the basketball. Now, as we can see here, he is having it roll off his middle finger last, and that's going to allow him to have a straight or a lot straighter of a shot. If he is releasing it off of these two fingers, what's going to happen is there's a possibility of that ball going right, and then if he shoots it off of the pointer finger and the middle finger, there's a chance of that ball going left. Now, by having that roll off that middle finger last, what's going to happen is that shot is going to be having a good amount of backspin, but also will have a really straight shot. Even though his elbow may be a bit out, that is going to allow him to have a straighter shot than if he was to have it go off of the ring finger and the middle finger. By releasing the ball also before the right hand releases the ball, what that's doing is that's allowing you to have backspin on the ball. Now, when you have your left hand still trying to help push that ball into the air towards the basket, that's going to diminish the amount of backspin you have on that ball. So by him releasing that shot first from his left hand and then from his right, that's allowing him to have a very good shot. Now, with the knees coming together and that arm a bit out, are these things that I would correct during the season? No, he is an 80% shooter when open. However, in the off season, I would promote having his elbow tucked in just a bit more, and then also explaining to him, because he probably already knows, so I'm not going to really get into this part, but when he's shooting that shot, he probably already knows, because he's a really smart player, we've seen this from all of his videos, that if he was finding that he was being guarded by a quick player, he's definitely smart enough to know that to straighten out that arm, he will have a faster shot. Again, with the knees, that is something that I would not fix during a season, but during the off season, that would be something that we would be looking into if I was one of his trainers. So, if you really want to be a really good shooter, I would look into shooting like AJ Lapray. But remembering, if you wanted to have a quicker shot or a quicker shooting form, to bring that arm up and not have it bent as far back. This is going to allow you to have a quicker shot. But again, you will have more power if you're bringing the ball back farther. But if you want to have a quicker shot, you bring it a little bit more forward. Next is the knees. Keep those knees both straight pointing towards the rim, or maybe just a bit off depending on how you feel your shooting form suits you better. And then from there, don't let your knees come together. I know there's a lot of players who have their knees come together. You need to really focus on having those knees bend straight forward or in the direction that they are pointing. And then is the elbow, instead of shooting like this, to bring that elbow down and start from your shooting pocket and bring it up. This is also a lot faster than bringing it up like this and then bringing in the elbow, because if you really want to have a quicker shot or a more accurate shot, you want to have as a little amount of movement as possible. So by bringing that ball up and then bringing the elbow in, what you're doing is you're adding an extra hitch onto your shot. By just keeping it tucked in, shooting pocket and up, that's going to allow you to have for a quicker shot, but also a more accurate shot because there's less moving parts in that shot. By having 1, 2, that's a little bit better than up. That's 1, 2, and 3. So just some quick tips anyways. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. If you're an AJ Lapray fan, I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm a fan of his as well. I'm just trying to teach more and more players how to shoot a basketball. I hope that you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys again next time.